14 minutes past 5, protesters campaigning against oil and gas drilling in East Yorkshire could soon have their tents and caravans removed by the East Riding Council. The group set up their roadside camp at West Newton last month, and they say they're monitoring safety at the adjacent Rathlin Energy oil and gas compound. Well, this afternoon, one of the campaigners, villager Harry Clark, spoke at an East Riding Council meeting and asked the council leader, Stephen Parnaby, whether, in the light of the monitoring the group is doing, the council would withdraw the notice to quit that it had served on them. And as Chris Arundel explains, the answer was no.
At each full council meeting in Beverley, members of the public are allowed to ask the leader of the council a question. They have to give advance notice. Environmental campaigner Harry Clark took advantage of that opportunity this afternoon by asking Stephen Parnaby if he would withdraw the notice ordering the campaigners to leave West Newton. Earlier, Mr Clark told me why.
Would he allow the monitoring station, please, to stay here so that the local people know that the site is being properly monitored? Because you have to realise that Health and Safety and Environment Agency rely on either self-reporting by the organisations that are operating the site or by the public making them aware of events on the site.
Prior to this afternoon's meeting, a large crowd of mainly older protesters gathered outside of County Hall.
I want to hear directly from the council why they're wanting to move this monitoring station. The station is there to monitor whether the oil and gas industry are doing things correctly. The Environment Agency don't have the resources to monitor them full-time, 24/7, and so they are acting on behalf of the local community.
Without the monitoring station, there will be no monitoring of what Rathlin Energy are doing. We're all very concerned, and that, as the sign says, save our monitoring station, because it affects all of us wherever we are in the region.
I've been part of the anti-fracking and sort of the end of fossil fuels movement across the UK for the last 3 years, but West Newton in particular I think is a problem that needs to be highlighted. I think it's time that people did kind of step forward and actually say it's time for a change in policy in the way we produce energy. One of my messages for a long time has been divest from fossil fuels and reinvest in renewables industry, so that's kind of why I'm here.
Shortly after the council meeting began, Mr Clark got his chance to put his question to the council leader. With the notice to quit due to come into force at midnight, the answer from Councillor Parnaby was not what he'd hoped for. Mr Parnaby said the council was concerned for the safety of those at the roadside camp, and the enforcement notice would stay in place. So what happens next? The council could send in bailiffs and police to dismantle the site, but campaigner Pippa Hockey hoped the council would give them a few days to dismantle the camp voluntarily.
We've always said we'd leave. We really wanted to at least wait until this meeting today, just in case the councillors were able to actually properly represent their constituents and what the local community want, which is for us to stay. We did speak to them yesterday, and we've asked to at least negotiate and at least give us some time to be able to pack down and leave it in a better condition than it was before. But they're saying absolutely not. But, you know, we think it's not reasonable of them. We need to have at least time to be able to move the stuff.
Well, that was Pippa Hockey, who's an anti-fossil fuel campaigner. I'll talk to the Green Party to ask why they've been supporting the protesters at West Newton. We'll hear from them after 5:30. 18 minutes to 6. A protest group which set up camp near the Rathlin Energy oil and drilling compound in East Yorkshire could soon have their tents and caravans removed by the East Riding Council. They were told that the notice to quit the camp will not be withdrawn. The group set up their roadside camp at West Newton last month. They say they're monitoring safety at the adjacent compound. Well, that notice to quit was challenged today by campaigner Harry Clark. He says the reporting of what energy companies are doing is down to members of the public.
Health and Safety and Environment Agency rely on either self-reporting by the organisations that are operating the site or by the public making them aware of events on the site.
Councillor Andrew Cooper is the energy spokesperson for the Green Party. Hello there, good evening.
Good evening.
How supportive have you been then of the group who say they are monitoring this site?
We're very supportive. We think that where people are campaigning to keep an eye on fracking companies, the ones that say they want good regulation, we need people there to keep an eye on them, basically.
But so, is there no, policing otherwise? I mean, what? Surely there's some regulations that they have to abide by. Surely authorities are looking into it. I mean, it's not down to individuals.
Well, what we have found is that having people on site who are monitoring lorry movements, who are looking at activity that's going on the site, actually makes these companies more wary about what they do. Because they've talked about having a better regulated system, but it's the fracking companies which are complaining about the regulations now.
The problem is with this site here that we heard from the East Riding Council today, they say it's dangerous, and this is why they want these campaigners to move, because it's not safe.
I dispute that. I think it's quite clear that they've been there for a few weeks now. They've been on site. They're not causing anybody any particular harm or difficulty, and it seems that there may be other motives at play here.
What motives?
Well, you look at this and you think the Conservative government has supported fracking, and we've got a Conservative council which is doing their bidding.
Okay, and what do you expect to happen now then? Because having spoken to some of these campaigners, they're really passionate about this, and they're very disappointed by what's happened today in Beverley with this decision. What do you expect to happen now?
Well, if they decide to stick it out, then we'd be supportive of them in terms of opposing themselves being moved. And I would expect there will be other people that will come and seek to bolster their resolve, hopefully.
All right, thanks for your time, Councillor Andrew Cooper there from the Green Party.